All right, beautiful people, man. A little inspiration for today. What's going on? What's going on, man? Just making a return here for this thing I call Church Without Walls, man. I've been in a space that I haven't done this in a while, and I'll tell you a little story about why I'm doing it now, bringing it back as I'm getting back to doing what I do best. And I suggest, recommend that you do that as well. I tell you, when I come across people who find themselves struggling, find themselves broke, busted, disgusted, depressed, stressed, that would be my main advice. Get back to doing what you do best. Now, I hope that you will be able to define for yourself whatever it is that you do best. Or if you have not yet, you start looking inward, looking over your life as to what you do best, what you've been called to do, or whatever the case may be. But before I get into all of that, we are broadcasting here live on Facebook, so this will be uploaded to YouTube as another as we're moving our content to a new platform. We're taking our talents to YouTube, and this may be something I won't necessarily say I'll do it every Sunday, but it is something that's in me as a person that's actually read the book, and it kind of bothers me in a sense that that so many don't. So I am a guy that, I'll tell you why I'm doing this. I was talking to a sister yesterday, and we had a healthy debate, a healthy dialogue as it relates to this thing called religion or the Bible or whatever. And, in getting to our initial conversation, she was asking me, am I religious? And I was like, well, no, I'm not religious. I'm spiritual. And she was like, well, what do you mean by that? I said, well, I am a person that reads the Bible, but I don't go to church. And then that sparked a nice, kind of conversation about why that is. And I was like, well, because I've read the Bible, and I'm one of the few people who I know who has actually done that. And I find it odd that, this book that was inspired by God and comes from heaven. And for many people, if I were to ask them about this book, if I were to ask them how important is this holy text, they would probably say it's one of the most important books of their life. But then if I asked them if they read the entire book, if they've taken the time, in their lifetime, you 30, you're 40, you're 50, you're 60, you're 70, and you have been, promoting in this case, Christianity, and there's this text that has been inspired by God and given to you and given to us to read so that we can understand His ways. And then in the book it says, meditate on the Word day and night. And in the book it says, study to show yourself approved. But yet we'll read every other book, even books that may go against the Bible, even books that are written by the enemy. We'll read those books, but yet we haven't taken the time to read this book. Now, growing up, many people in my community and where I come from, you find this book almost everywhere in this society in America. You'll find this book in hotels. When I was growing up, you'll find them in the first shelf, right? You'll find them in jails. You'll find this book pretty much everywhere. But most people don't read it, or they read parts of it. Very few people, even pastors that I've come across, have never read this book in its entirety. But yet, again, if I go over to my library or go over to your library, and if we say that this book, especially if you call yourself a Christian, is the most important book of your life, my question is, why haven't you read it? And as I read the book, then it has helped me to see the hypocrisy that's in religion, the hypocrisy that's in the churches, the hypocrisy of promoting something to people to have them move a certain way that may even go against this book. But the people in the congregation are ignorant of what's in this book. So you can say whatever you want to say in the pulpit to get people to do what you want to do, to move them to to whatever the agenda is. And guess what? As long as you sound good and you smell good and you are motivating and all that stuff, you can get people to follow you. And we have a lot of people, a lot of motivational speakers promoting themselves as preachers. But guess what? The people that's in the pews don't read this book. So they're not even able to, the level of discernment of seeing the difference between a wolf and a sheep is totally off. They can't even discern if someone is preaching the gospel versus preaching an agenda. Then I was thinking this morning when I got up, and then we had a nice little debate, and it was a good debate, although she hadn't read this book, she was a faithful churchgoer. And I understand that some people go to church just because they want to be a part of something. They want to be a part of a network. They want to be a part of a family. The same reason that some people join a network marketing company. It's not necessarily to go make money. They want family. They want to be around people. They want community. Some people join churches because of community, not because of God. Or they join it for the right reasons and they get led astray because they don't do the reading themselves. And I'm telling you, I have found that the people who have actually read this book stay away from certain churches. Now, does that mean, am I saying that every church? No, I'm not talking about every church. There are certain churches or certain pastors, because we're talking about the leadership of the church. The same way that you talk about the leadership of some business. The same way you talk about the leadership of some family. Just way you talk about the leadership of some community. That will lead people astray based upon their agenda, because they know it's very easy to lead ignorant people. Because they're not going to make decisions based upon facts, based upon research. They're going to make decisions based upon how they feel. And as long as you can feel good. Now, how do I know this? Well, guess what, guys? I'm a master salesman. I've been doing it my whole life. I know how to make people feel good to get them to do what I want. I know how to do that. Right? As a matter of fact, you know how to do that. You know how to make your parents feel good so you can get the candy that you want. You know how to make your woman feel good so you can get the sex that you want. You know how to do that as well. And guess what? They know how to do it also. So today, I'm prefacing that to say that this is the return of Church Without Walls. Because I'm like, well, maybe there are some people who want to just actually read this book. Now, let me ask you this. What percentage of Christians would you say have actually read this book? Have actually read it? Well, if you could guess, based upon the people that you've met in your life, the people that you come across who say, I'm a Christian because the pastor told me I should believe that Jesus was risen from the dead, and then I should, I should confess my sins and ask God for forgiveness, and I did that. Now I'm a Christian. Okay, and so these Christians who call themselves Christians that have this book, which was inspired by God to help lead them, guide them along the way, so that whether they have no man to lead them at all, they still have God to lead them. How many Christians on a scale, on percentages would you say have read this book? Also, what I find interesting is when we start talking about this book, Christians start running away. When you start talking about, hey, let's read the Bible, they start to disappear. The whole book. Yes, the whole book, the entire book. And it's hard to have a conversation with people about why that's so important, why that could be so important, because they haven't read the whole book. They can't connect all of the dots. Now, I'm not saying that makes you any less holy or any less righteous or anything like that. I'm simply saying, if you believe that this is the word of God and he has left this word for us to read, why haven't you read it? That's my question. But you've read the other books. Whatever other books that he has left or that has been written, we've read those other books. We read the textbooks in school. We read the chemistry books. We read the whatever book. We read magazines. We read stuff that we want to read. Well, how come we haven't been inspired enough to read this book in its entirety? Is it because it's boring? Is it because it uses some jargon in the Old Testament that is not entertaining? How come? Right? And I'm talking about Christians because I believe Muslims are a little bit more studious when it comes to reading their book. But Christians, it seems let me tell you where I'm from. I'm from Decatur, Georgia. Okay. Got a whole bunch of black churches in my community. So I can't speak for what I haven't experienced, but what I've experienced, if there was no entertainment in the church, people wouldn't go. If there was no music in the church, people wouldn't go. If the pastor wasn't flamboyant and charismatic, people wouldn't go. But is all of that necessary to read this book? Now, in this book, it talks about a time where the great teacher went to the churches of his time and he started turning over tables. Let me ask you this. When's the last time you seen the Jesus of today? Because there's nothing new under the sun. Where have you seen Christians of today start turning over the tables inside of these churches that are leading people astray? How is it you can have a Roman, the Vatican that's out there, you know what I'm saying, acting like they're for God, but yet they're raping little boys? How is it you can have someone like Eddie Long, who was the former pastor of New Birth Baptist Missionary Church, him do the same thing to start sodomizing and Gomoring our children? How is that? And it's filled with people, the church is filled with people who call themselves Christians, who won't read this book. See, for a while I stopped this show. I stopped doing church without walls. I was like, man, this don't seem to be making no difference. It's like, man, do we use this thing up here when it comes to life? Right? Dante, you said, whole book. What's going on, man? If you joined us here, man, let me know that you're here. Let me know where you're connected from, what city, what state, because we can get right into this thing. And I do got a message for today. I'm just kind of waiting on y'all to join us because I'm live. So if you're catching me on YouTube, just know that. But let's talk. Let's have some real talk. Can we as people start having honest conversations, even if the honest conversation is going to piss some people off? Huh? Can we start having some honest conversations about why? I want to know, can anybody give me an answer to this? Why? If this book is inspired by God Almighty and you say that you submit to this same God and he's left this book for you to read, why haven't you read it? 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. Why? Why haven't we read it? It probably take maybe 3 to 6 months to actually read the book? Think about that for a second. God gave us this book, if that's what we believe. And he must have gave it to us for us to have it, to read it, and to use it, and to abide by it, and to make better decisions because of it. And to fill us up, right? Man should not eat off of bread alone, right? But every word that comes from, you know what I'm saying? We said we don't live off of bread alone. We don't live off of food alone. We don't live off of water alone. Our spirits. How are we feeding our spirits with spiritual stuff when the spiritual stuff is in this book and we don't read the book? And we have what? We have exchanged reading the book to just listening to someone else interpret the book. But what if their interpretation is wrong? How many of you guys have ever been in a church and you heard somebody say something outlandish? I mean, something that was blasphemous. And you're sitting there like, did he just say that? No. And then you go to your book. You be like, wait a second. You be like, let me read this myself. No, that didn't say that. And then you know that 95% of the people in the church were led astray because they just went with whatever the pastor said. Where are the checks and balances for the pastor? Who holds the pastor accountable to sound doctrine? Who? The deacons don't read the book. The church, the choir members don't read the book. Who can actually hold the pastor accountable to being, sound doctrine if no one else in the church reads the book? And now we have churches that have become politicized. We got churches that love money more than they love God. Come on, I'm bold as a lion. I don't have no problem having these conversations. You know why? Because I read the book, beginning to end. Because I said to myself, if I'm going to say I'm going to be a Christian, I'm going to read the book so I can know for myself. It reminds me of, I was just having a conversation about how, you live in where I grew up, you turn 18, and when you turn 18 as an 18-year-old after you've been in school for 15 years and you've been indoctrinated to school, the system of society. And then at 18, they tell you, okay, you got to register to vote, but you don't know nothing about the Democratic or the Republican Party, the Independent Party, the Green Party. You don't know nothing about that, but you have to decide if you're going to be Dominican or Democratic or Republican. You need to register to go to serve if your country needs you. Men, right? At 18, we gotta register for the service. So if we go to war and everybody die, they're going to send us. Right? I was like, why I gotta do that? But that was part of our rites of passage as a citizen in the United States. What else did I have to do at 18? I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I think it was one other thing I said. Oh, you gotta register for jury duty. You're like, okay, so these are 3 things at 18 years old, and this is my rite of passage into an adult, but I know nothing about these spaces. But I'm supposed to register for them. Have no information of them. Have no understanding of them. Wasn't taught any of it. That's real silly to me. But I'm making the decision to align myself with a party, Democratic, Republican, Independent, doesn't matter, to register as my allegiance to something that I know nothing about. Does that make any sense? Who holds the church accountable to sound doctrine? Who? Because in this day and age, it seems like you become a pastor. If you don't want to go to jail, if you want to stop pimping in the streets, you go pimp in the pulpit. And the same thing that happens from the political side of raising all this money to fund your billionaire rich friends or your family or whatever. Because, a church will pop up and then they hire all their family and then all the family get rich off the donations of people. And then they can file the business of church says, hey, well, now you're a nonprofit, you're tax exempt, right? You're private. You don't have to necessarily let the public know about your finance. What would happen if we need to start looking at the church's budget? What would happen if we had to open up the books of every church in America? What would happen? The books, the accounting, where did all the money go? How many guys have seen churches, they have building funds, they never built anything but the pastor's mansion or the pastor's jet. Now I'm not talking about every pastor. Y'all know the pastors I'm talking about though. Who holds the pastors accountable to sound doctrine? What's in the book? Matter of fact, you go to churches nowadays, they don't even read a whole scripture. They give you about 5 words and then they interpret 5 words and say that's what that means. No, that's what I want it to mean. And because that's what I want it to mean, that's what it's going to mean to you. And it's going to all come down to, in about 45 minutes, I'm going to ask you for some money. And because I made you feel good about this doctrine that I gave you that was false, now I can get your money. At any rate, so what I wanted to do today is as we kick this thing back off, now y'all let me know. Y'all let me know. Y'all, should I do this? Is this worth, is me going after these black, what's the word I'm looking for, y'all? Give me a good word. Please help me with my vocabulary today. Is me going after these pimping ass preachers who get rich off of the community and give tokens back to the community. Because here's how black folk is. Oh, well, you gave me a carrot so you can have the rest of the garden. Oh, you created one thing you did that was good. I can overlook all of the 25 bad things that you did. oh, we do have a youth ministry, so I can support that, which means I support everything that you do, although the rest that you do seems to be more swindling, more conniving, more you getting rich off of my money, but you ain't really working. You ain't even been to seminary. Oh, come on, man. When's the last time you seen the church turn over the tables in the church the same way that Jesus turned over the tables in the church? As a matter of fact, if you're a person that says, man, there's something fishy up in here, this don't look right, this don't smell right, guess what the church do? The church silences you. The church say, you can't come back here because you messing up our program. You messing up our agenda. You costing us money. Again, I'm being general here, so I want to make sure I'm being general. I'm not talking about all churches. So some of y'all that can't separate a general conversation and you got to take it personal like I'm talking about your church, that's not what we're doing here. Let me go ahead and get that out the way. But come on now. Come on now. Y'all know how many of y'all got some family members that going to a church that you like, what, how you going to that church? How you going to World Changes with Creflo Dollar at this particular point? Asking people for millions of dollars and then justifying the ask of $80 million for a plane. How are you going to that church at this point? But yet you got family members, friends, people that you've met over time at these churches who can't put two nickels together. But he over here whining and dining and flying his family, not just first class, private class across the country in the name of preaching the gospel. How is that? Well, where they do that at? Who in our community, who in the church holds the church to sound doctrine and reading this book? Ryan James said bootleg preachers. Yeah, and it's been going on since the beginning of time. Jesus had to do it back in his day, and we got to do it now again because there's nothing new under the sun. That's if you believe in Jesus. It ain't even about Jesus nowadays, it seems. You go to, I saw the New Birth Missionary Baptist Church with Pastor Jamal Bryant. You look at the symbol that he has on the front pew. It's got a little fist with a cross coming out. Like black power in Christ. What? What is that? You look at his, what is called, his stand that he stands behind, and Lord, yes sir, and doing all that shit. And you look at that symbol. It used to just be a cross, right? A cross. Now it's a black power fist with a cross. What? But God, the God of this book, says he's no respecter of person. The God of this book don't believe in racism. The God of this book. But yet you're preaching it in the pulpit. So then when I tell people, no, I don't go to church. Maybe because I ain't found the right church. Whatever that is. And I ain't looking at this point because I read this book. And here's the thing. Now, I'm not trying to just talk about black people, but I'm black. And I got a whole bunch of black people that follow this channel. Black, white, and different, doesn't matter. But what I'm saying is like, damn, we have got to be some of the dumbest people walking the planet to keep following people because we don't know, out of ignorance, we don't know, we don't read. So we just follow people who lead us astray. And I was talking to a brother earlier. I said, man, Malcolm X said it. Malcolm X said, man, it ain't just white supremacy that you got to concern yourself with. You concern yourself with black supremacy too. The black folk that are paid by the white folk to continue to lead you astray. It's like Malcolm X said it. We heard it. Like, yeah, you're right, Malcolm X. But then 50 years later, we don't believe it no more. Because he dead, he don't speak no more. We don't hear it no more. There's nothing new under the sun. Put that in the comments below. It's been going on since the beginning of time. For you to think that it's not happening now. For you to think it's not your church. I think you might want to do some inspection. Are they reading this book? Do y'all have sermons based upon this? Or do they just jump from one to one? They pick one out of here. They pick one out of here. They pick one out of here. And then they bring that together and say, oh, here's the message. No, you know what? It says you have a great teacher within. If you just give me the word and the Holy Spirit is within me, the master teacher lives on the inside. Have y'all read that? Probably not, because you don't read the book. The great teacher, the Holy Spirit, lives within you. All you got to do is feed the Spirit the word, and it's going to help you to decipher good from bad. Your next moves, your insight, discernment, all that good stuff. You can go to church to commune and to fellowship and all that stuff and to lock arms and start getting some more stuff done. But why you ain't reading the book? Why would God leave us this book for us not to read it? Can somebody please give me an answer to that? All these intelligent people out here. Why would God, if you believe that this is inspired by God, although man wrote it, God inspired some men to write it for us to have, and we now have it. Now, back in the day, you couldn't even get this book. Back when Martin Luther was rolling, they was trying to burn all the Bibles. Do we not remember? Do we not know history? Probably not. If we don't read, we probably ain't reading history either. What's going on, Rose? Ronnie James said that dude, Brian John, is very messy. I don't know anybody in their right spiritual state of mind could uphold and edify this guy as an evangelical leader. They just blow my mind with all this, scandal after scandal after scandal. So today, I want to do something special because there's some people who ain't gonna never go to church. And that's cool, I get it. Cause I'm one of those people like, I don't mind going. But as soon as I see as soon as I see a church filled with only women, I'm probably not going. That tells me that the doctrine is probably feminism. It's all about black woman power or women power. I ain't going to that church. Nope, not going. They done drove all the men out to church. So they can have this kumbaya session, this whole emotional experience with all the women. I'm just going to tell it like it is. I ain't going to that church. And I believe that's why quite a few brothers ain't going. They're starting to run away from the church as well. It's like, wait a second. This place used to help build men, build holy and righteous people. But shit, it ain't doing that now. And I ain't talking about all churches. But the ones I've experienced. Come on, man. I might have been born tonight, but I wasn't born last night. I got a family. My family, they act Christian. And the only time, why is it that the only time you act like you're a Christian is on Thanksgiving and Christmas? That's the only time you say grace. Why are you putting on a show when people come over? Why, it ain't a practice of yours, but now that you got friends, now that you got family over, now you're saying grace, but you ain't saying grace all year. Ain't that interesting? You're good Christian folk. You don't say grace at breakfast. You don't say grace at lunch. You don't say grace at dinner. You don't say grace for 363 days out the year. But on 2 days, when you got people over for Thanksgiving, you got people over for Christmas, then you're saying grace because it's more of a cultural thing to pay respect than it is of your love for God. Uh-oh. Isn't that interesting? We're talking about habitual, diabolical behavior. That trickles down from the top. And in some instances, you might say trickles down from the other little God, which would be the devil. Our text today coming out of Matthew chapter 13. I figured I'd start with this one because I think this is such a great thing. And this is not to be churchy. The reason why I have I feel good about actually reading the Bible because it's helped me to grow in wisdom. When I started my journey, I said, man, I'm gonna start with Proverbs, and if I couldn't find anything that I could tear down, that I could say wasn't true, then I was gonna put the book down. I got through Proverbs. I like, no, all this sounds about right. Okay. And I kept going. Now, I'm not going to say I agree necessarily with everything that's in the book, but I don't have to agree with everything that's in the book in order to read the book. And I wouldn't be able to determine whether I agree with everything that's in the book unless I read the book. So then I went on the journey and said, I'm going to read the book because I don't see nobody else that can tell me that they done read the book. I don't want to be one of those people that say I'm a Christian that hasn't read the Bible. That's crazy to me. I'm a Christian who won't read the Bible. Huh? I'm a Muslim who won't read the Quran. Huh? That's the whole, this right here is the whole, your holy text. You have no Christianity without this. You have no Islam without the text. So why don't we read the book? Matthew chapter 13. I figured the parable of the sower would be a good place to just have a conversation today. Y'all with that? Y'all with having a conversation? Man, y'all want to have a conversation about some stuff that's in the book. And maybe we can start to wisen up, and maybe it can help us to grow in wisdom so we can make better decisions for our life, better decisions for our family. We can start to understand this world that we live in. We can understand this playbook that's right before us that tells us not only how we should act, it tells us how the enemy acts. It helps us to understand why people do some of the things they do and who to hang around and who not to hang around. It's going to help us to fix our relationships. It's going to help us to get rid of toxicity. It's going to help us to be able to identify false preachers. It's going to help us to do this stuff. Now, some of us have what we call intuition or an inclination, and for some it's called the Holy Spirit that's already letting you know. But let me ask you this, Rose. Let me ask you this, Ronnie, and I don't know whether you guys are Christians or not. That's not the point. If you already have this spirit of being able, it said that in the beginning, before the fall, it said that Adam and Eve, they knew about the tree of knowledge. They knew good from evil when they were created. Whatever, they got that spirit in them. You have that spirit too. You don't necessarily have to be a Christian to identify between good and evil, right? But what would happen if you fed your spirit with more than just food, with more than just manna? What would happen if you fed your spirit with words, because the power of life and death is in the tongue? What would happen if you fed your spirit? Wouldn't it become more powerful? Wouldn't you be able to get off the milk and you can start being a person that can actually help and teach others and not be a purporter of the false doctrine? What would happen? You would probably become a bad man. You probably become unapologetically you. You probably walk around with boldness of a lion. You would know what you know that you know that you know. You wouldn't have to guess and gossip and all that stuff. You're like, oh no, that preacher was talking. When last time you were like, that preacher was talking that crazy stuff today? I don't know about that, child. Let's get into it, man. Matthew chapter 13, verse 1. It's going to be through 23. So this is the parable of the sower. This particular text, probably about 15 years ago, I did a breakdown of it on my LinkedIn page, and maybe if I can go find it, it'll be great, because I broke it down, and I think there's different ways that you could break it down and you could find some use out of it. It's the parable of the sower. It says this: Jesus went out to the house and he sat beside the sea, and a great crowd gathered about him. So he got into a boat and sat down, and the whole crowd stood on the beach. So this is his pulpit. He's in the church. He ain't in no building. He on a boat. And he got a whole bunch of people that's over there listening to him as he teaches. That's just like church, right? No, there was no music. There was no concert. There was no offering. None of that stuff. He was a teacher, and guess what Jesus did? He taught. So then he taught a spiritual lesson. He was talking to the masses, the thrones. They was all like, who is this guy? Who is this man? This is a different kind of guy. And he was an influencer, what we would call it today. He would probably be on social media like I am today, like I am right now. He'd probably be doing that because Jesus was an influencer. Would you agree? If you agree with that, say put in the comments, oh, Jesus is an influencer. He had to be an influencer if he started a religion called Christianity that started 2,000 some odd years ago and is still going today because of his influence. He's an influencer. So he is doing what he do, teaching the people. Remember I said at the beginning, do what you do best. This is what I do best. I got the same gift Jesus had. I'm a teacher. So he's in church. Now we at church. The people have gathered. He's sitting in the boat, and now he's ready to teach them a lesson. He says, hey, he told them many things in parables. Now, isn't this interesting? That the great teacher taught in parables. In other words, he would have a conversation with people. He wouldn't just set up and say, this is what it means. He'd get people to think. He talked to people in a way that got them to think. He related to them so they could think for themselves. And he understood that many people wouldn't get it. He said, those who have ears to hear, let them hear. Those who have eyes to see, let them see. But if they're perplexed, let them stay perplexed. So that's one of the first things I want you to understand is you spread whatever message you have, whatever seed that you got to sow out there to bring forth your harvest. There's some people who just ain't going to get it. And you got to be okay with that. If you okay with some people not getting your message, if you okay with some people not taking your offer, if you're okay with some people rejecting your words, go ahead and put in console, I'm okay with that. Jesus was okay with it. Why wouldn't you be okay with it? So he told him, say, man, a sower, here's the parable. A sower went out to sow. What does a sower do? A sower sows. What does a farmer do? A farmer farms. What does a jeweler do? A jeweler jews. What does a liar do? A liar lies. Right? So people, whatever it is that you do, go out and do it. So a sower sows, went out to sow. And he sowed some of the seeds that he sowed, it fell on the path. And the birds came and devoured them. Well, that seed is already, it ate up, it got gone. It didn't get into the ground. Other seeds that he sowed, the sower sowed. Now notice this, the sower sowed. He didn't just sow one seed. When you get a packet of seeds or that you're sowing, it's just not one seed that you sow. You got to sow how many seeds? Matter of fact, give me a number in the comments below. If you went and got a packet of seeds, fruit, apple seeds or orange seeds or pineapple seeds, how many seeds would be in that packet? How many? One seed? 10 seeds? So you know that the seeds is going to be a whole bunch of seeds, but you got to keep on spreading the word. Keep on sowing. So, say, man, some of the seeds fell on the rocky ground. So you out there just sowing the seed. Oh, man, that fell on some rocky ground. He ain't going to pick up the seeds and say, oh, I got to go put it into some different ground. Nope, that's just going to be on the rocky ground. And where they did not have much soil. And immediately they sprang up and since they had no depth of soil. But when the sun rose, they were scorched. So that the seeds, some fell on the rocky ground or the wind blew it, it fell on some concrete. It didn't take root. And then the sun came out and it burnt the seed. Some of your seeds gonna get burned. Okay? And since they had no root, they withered away. The sun, although a plant needs the sunlight to grow, but if the roots aren't in the ground, then the sun will burn them up. Now, we're going to get there. Let me keep reading. We'll come back here. Wait, let me read because I'm not going to try to interpret this before reading. So let me keep reading. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm too crunk this morning. Maybe that's what it is. Okay? Michael says a whole lot of seeds in a packet. Other seeds fell among thorns and the thorns grew up and choked them. So now you have seeds that are sown in ground, but they're around maybe some roses or some weeds or whatever the case may be. And as they grew together, those weeds or those thorns choked out those seeds. You want me to demonstrate more? Okay, Mike. Okay, you don't want me to go fast. You say, slow down there, son. Okay, what's going on, Healthy Bud? Man, if you watching right now, can you just say hello in the comments below? Can you at least do that for me? At least give me a little bit of engagement here on the social media platform. Can I get that? Or hit the like button or something? Or hit the share? Can I get that, please? Okay, I appreciate you. All right. And then said other seeds fell on good soil and produced grain. Some 100-fold, some 60-fold, some 30. He who has ears to hear, let them hear. So you guys just heard the same parable that the great teacher in his church shared with the people. Right? And he said, those who have ears to hear, let them hear. Now, notice this. This was not a sermon to his disciples. This was a sermon to the people. Understanding that all those people ain't going to get it. Now, notice this. Then the disciples came and said to him, why do you speak to them in parables? So now the disciples like, okay, why do you talk to the people like that? Why did you give them a story? Everybody putting console story. Everybody putting console story. My story. His story. Now notice society is taking a page out of the from the great teacher on how to reach people. And if you are an entrepreneur, you should probably take a page from the great teacher on how to reach people. You reach people with stories. Let me say that again for the people in the back. Again, I've been doing this a long time. Matter of fact, I was talking to Brother Danto earlier today. He said, man, you know, I was going to say the same thing you said, and I was just going to just tell them straight up, like straight to the chase, straight no chase. How many of you are straight no chaser people? You're like, I got something to say. I'm just going to tell it straight out. I'm going to say it to the world, straight no chaser. You think that's the best way to go about it? You think that's the best way to get people, the best way to find like-minded people? It ain't. It ain't. You tell a story. So when we were on the call the other day, he was like, yeah, but the way you said it, you told a story. And I could have just told it straight out. It'd have been probably about 3 minutes. Boom, boom, boom. But I didn't. I went and explained all of this other stuff. I told all the story so they could feel it. They could picture it. When I was telling that parable, that story, couldn't you see some seeds being dropped on the ground? Couldn't you see the concrete? Couldn't you see some thorns? You probably thought about a roses or something like that, or a thorn bush. Did you see in your mind, some fertile ground, some good soil? Can you see what that looks like? Can you picture it in your own mind? In other words, I'm getting you to use your imagination. Everybody putting console imagination. When you're using your imagination, you're thinking. You're picturing. Right? Matter of fact, many of us love movies. What is movies? Movies are a story. We love watching TV. What is TV? A whole bunch of stories. Am I making any sense to anybody? So now the disciples who have been walking with this great teacher, who's in his brotherhood. This is a brotherhood, right? It was a brotherhood. Yeah, it was a brotherhood, man. If you're in a brotherhood, you're putting console brotherhood strong. If you're a brother watching right now, putting console brotherhood strong. Because that's what Jesus had a posse. And his posse was called 12 disciples. And all of them were brothers. Now, it doesn't mean that we didn't have some sisters in there that would support us. It didn't mean we have some sisters in there that would serve us. It didn't mean that there wasn't some powerful sisters around at that time. But when Jesus was walking, when the great teacher was walking, he went out and he said, follow me. And it was 12 brothers said, I'm going to follow you. Would you agree? So it must be something. It must be something about building strong men in a community that's important. And when I say building strong men, I'm talking about righteous men. I'm talking about men that'll stand up for truth. I'm talking about men that'll call out all the bullshit. And I'm saying, guys, it's hard for us to call it out if we leave the church too. Like we get fed up and we just leave and we never say nothing. That ain't right either. How they gonna fix it if nobody say nothing? So I'm going to say something before I leave. Man, y'all on that bullshit, man. Can I have a meeting with the pastor? Why you say that? Show me where that is in the scripture right now. Cause I done read the book. And I believe a lot of pastors are afraid of you if you read the book. They can no longer get over on you the way that they've been able to get over on you for years, decades, centuries, because you read the book. Back in the day, there was a whole bunch of Bible study going on. I don't know if there's a whole bunch of Bible study going on right now, but it was probably about 30 years ago. But as less and less Bible study has been taking place, we've been having more and more debauchery taking place. We've been having more and more Sodom and Gomorrah taking place. We're having more and more pushing the LGBT community taking place. Had a whole bunch more of that, whole bunch more cussing on the radio taking place. Whole bunch more, stripper mentality on BET. Taking place. Am I the only one? It's probably me. I'm probably the only one who has noticed that. You get away from reading a book, especially if you're a Christian, the more you let slide, because guess what? You don't know what's in the book. You only know what the pastor tells you. And what if the pastor is telling you something wrong? Do you think that he's going to be the only one that goes to hell? Do you think he's going to be the only one that's responsible for leading you astray? You think good God going to say, well, you know what, you just followed the wrong person. So you know what, I'm going to give you a pass. You think that's going to happen when you get up, you have to make a count for your life and you get up to, you got to stand before them pearly gates. He going to say, oh, you just made a bad decision. You know, come on in. You think that's going to happen? Or you think you're going to say, well, I gave you a book to read. You chose not to read it. Therefore, you chose to remain in ignorance. And that's a choice that you made. You have to account for your choices. Whatever that is, I got to account for my choices. You got to account for your choices. Anyway, so he's talking to the disciples now. Now, notice this. He's going from talking publicly to the masses, publicly to the asses, publicly to the people. Some will get it, most won't. And now he's talking to his inner circle. Everybody put in console inner circle. So we have a brotherhood. That's our inner circle. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm talking to all of y'all right now, and I'm not demeaning any of you. I'm just saying, publicly, hey, boom, boom, boom. Some of y'all get it, some of y'all won't. Some of y'all will get rich, some of y'all won't. So I'm a money guy. Some of y'all will follow, and we gonna get money together. And some of y'all are gonna say, no, we not. I don't want to do that. I don't want to get rich. I don't want to get in real estate. I don't want to do stocks. I don't want to be an entrepreneur. Whatever. And some of y'all will, or a few of you will. But here's what's interesting to me. There were millions of people or thousands, however many people it was at that time. But in order for them to build a movement that's still going strong today, it started with 12. Some of you think you got to have thousands of people to make a difference, to make something happen, to change something in your community, to change something in your church. You think you got to have thousands, you got to have everybody on board. No, you don't. The great teacher showed us, shit, you just need about 12. Everybody putting console 12 in the count. You don't need that many. You just need a few. A few good men can change the world. A few good men can change the black community. A few good men. Now, that does not mean I'm not including the women when I say that, because the Bible, if you read it, you'll see it uses pronouns specifically saying he, talking to men, it seems. But I think because the woman was a one man, you know, say that he's talking to everybody, but that pronoun it's definitely saying he a lot. And then there are times where he speaks specifically to women. But it's interesting to me that Jesus didn't have just a few good women. He had a few good men. Anybody like to debate me on that? And it didn't mean there wasn't great women around the posse. It wasn't, I don't know who was married and who wasn't. I don't know all of that. I don't know the family structure of Matthew, Luke, and John and all of them. I don't know their family dispositions. But I know the book talks about the few good men. All right. Now, so the disciples are like, why did you speak to them like that? And he answered them, to you it has been given to know the secrets of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it has not been given. So in your organizations or whatever it is, you know, your inner circle should know more than the outer circle. They're privy to inside information. Y'all a little bit more intimate. Y'all have more conversations. They can ask questions. You can break stuff down. And y'all can have dialogue and debate and all that good stuff. And y'all can agree to disagree. But y'all respect each other enough to have the conversations. So to them, I can't, there's too many of them. I'm in the boat. They out there. What it would look like if I try to take, 1,300 questions about what I just said? No, I'm going to let them simmer and think about that. That was enough for them. Got their mind thinking, but now we're going to have a conversation with the inner circle. Okay? So he says, man, it wasn't given to them. For to one who has, more will be given. And he will have an abundance. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. Now, isn't this interesting? Let me repeat this again. This is verse 12. For the one who has, more will be given. Here's what I want you to understand. Whoever is hearing the sound of my voice at this particular time, I want you to know this, that you got something special. It may not be you don't have what I have. I don't have what you have. But my special is not greater than your special. You also have a tribe. You have a tribe of people that you are supposed to influence and share with them the inner secrets of your movement. Whatever that is, whatever you've been called to do. But you got something special. You've been given something. And if you keep it, you hold on to it, more will be given. And you will have an abundance. Now, that doesn't mean it's just money. I don't know what you need at this particular time. I don't know. God knows what you need. But to whom it was given, more will be given. But from the one who has not. See, this is the part this is why I stopped going to church. Because they don't talk about the have-not stuff. But the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. Here's why I understand why the rich keep getting richer and the poor keep getting poorer. Here's why I understand why the poor will always be among us. Because the poor typically doesn't have knowledge. They operate in ignorance and they don't have the knowledge. Therefore, what they do have will be taken away. But if they say that in the church, if they actually broke this down in church, some of the people will stop coming to church because they only want feel-good messages. Pastor, in order for you to get my money, you're going to have to make me feel good by the time I leave this church. And if you don't make me feel good by the time I leave, then I might not come back next week. And if I don't come back next week, you ain't going to get no more money. Shot me down. Shot me down. Anybody want to challenge me on that? Most people go to church to feel good. Got a good. Oh, that was a good word today. Well, what happens when it's a fire and brimstone word? What happens when they say, even if you don't have it, it'll be taken away? What if they start talking like that? It ain't gonna feel too good when you know something might get taken away from you. How many guys feel good when something's gonna be taken away from you? Isn't that interesting? How many of us feel good when we're going to lose something because we didn't use it? It's in the book. But, I don't read the Bible, so I don't never get that part. I only get blessed in the city, blessed in the field. But after the blessings, he talk about woe to you. Hear the cursings. Oh, no, we under a different law. God there ain't no cursings going on. Really? You ain't read the book. Let's keep going. This is why I speak to them in parables. Here's why. Because seeing, although they have eyes, they do not see. How many of you guys know some people? You could think, when I just said that, you thought of something right now. You thought about a person. You're like, man, I've been trying to get this person to see the light. But for me, I've been talking about crypto for 8 years. I've been trying to get the black community to see the light of crypto for 8 years. But guess what? Although they see it, although they saw it go from 1,000 to 2,000, they saw it go from 2,000 to 10,000, they saw it go from 10,000 to 20,000, they saw it go from 20,000 to 50,000, they saw it go from 50,000 to 100,000. They do not see. And although they have ears, they do not hear. Now, I'm pretty sure some of you guys got children. And some of your children, they got ears to hear. You as a father, you as a mother, you say something to one child, or you say it to both children, or 3 children, or how many you got. Some of them hear it, some of them don't. You be like, well, I said it. I said the same thing. I said it. We had a family meeting, and I laid down the law that this is how we're going to operate in this household. Here are the rules. Some of them heard it. Some of them didn't. Or let me give you a different example. Or you're talking to someone and all they doing is this. They got ears. Some audible stuff came in their ears, but they ain't hear you because they weren't paying attention. They do not understand. So although they have ears to hear, although they got eyes to see, they don't see, they're still blind. Although they got ears to hear, they still ain't listening, they ain't paying attention, nor because they don't have vision, because they're not really listening to understand, they don't understand. I could sit here and talk to them till they were blue in the face, and they still wouldn't understand. But guess what? I put it in the book. So anybody that want to understand, they can come and get this book and they read through it anytime they want. But guess what? They don't want to do that. Why? Because they don't want to understand. They have no desire to understand. They reject knowledge. Our people perish for lack of knowledge. How do you get knowledge? How do you get knowledge, by the way? That's a good question to ask. How do you get knowledge? How have you gotten the knowledge that you have today? Indeed, verse 14, in their case, the prophecy of Isaiah is fulfilled that says, you will indeed hear, but never understand. And you will indeed see, but never perceive. Have you ever heard that in church? I haven't. I would hear them go tell me the parable. They'll skip over this and they'll get to the explanation of the parable. But look at all that stuff that's in between. That explains why the teacher taught the way that he taught. He understood that most of them numbnuts will never understand. But that doesn't mean I don't share it with them. If they've got some further questions or concerns or whatever, we can have a discussion. But most of them don't care. They don't want it. They came for the spectacle. They heard about this man. They see all these people gathering. They see this man on the boat. They came over to see what the hell is going on. They came to the church because they heard they got a rocking choir, and all they do is dance and parade, and they got all the celebrities there. They came to see what all the fuss was about. But as soon as we start talking the word, as soon as we start having a little bit of this time in the word, guess what? They start getting up, going to the bathroom, walking out. They done. The concert's over. Don't shut me down, because I ain't even preaching. I'm just saying that. Have y'all not experienced that? I've experienced that. Like, why y'all? Here's the word. He finna break down. Oh, we ain't come here for that. Word, accountability, correction, reproof. Do you see why we have the problems that we have in our society? Do you see why we have the problems that we have in these relationships? Zero accountability. Correction, who gonna check me, boo? That's how most people have the attitude. They won't even let God correct them. God can't even help them because they don't understand, and they don't want to understand until they want to understand. Woo! Oh, this is getting good. I'm just getting started, man. If you are enjoying this, because we got to finish this. We're going to finish this. I don't care how long it takes. I got time today. Okay? Now, verse 15, for this people's heart has grown dull, and with their ears they can barely hear, and their eyes they have closed, lest they should see with their eyes and hear with their ears and understand with their heart. You understand with your heart. And listen, I'm going to repeat this again. And turn. Turn, meaning that they see their wrong and they turn away from it. They repent. They apologize. They make things right. There's some retribution, some reconciliation, whatever. They turn from their wicked ways, and guess what he says? And I will heal them. Now, here's the problem that I see here. Many people, it seems as though they think that God's going to heal them before they turn. Before they turn. Oh, okay. It says, and they turn, and then I will heal them. Most people think, oh, nope, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing and God's gonna heal me. Oh, I'm sick now. Let me just do a quick prayer and God's gonna heal me. And God said, no, first, let's talk about why you're sick. Why are you sick? Because you've been smoking cigarettes for 20 years. What does turning mean? Turning means stop smoking cigarettes. For some reason, it's like we think we ain't got to do nothing. We just keep living the way that we living, and God's merciful. God's going to keep having mercy and all. And not that he won't. That's his decision. I don't know what he's going to do for you. I'm just saying, isn't that strange? Have you ever looked at why you do the things that you do, and then you can decide to stop doing those things, and then, matter of fact, let me go a different route. When's the last, I want you to think about a time in your life where you know you were wrong for whatever. Overeating, eating bad stuff, whatever you've been neglected, bad with your health, bad with your wealth, bad with your money, whatever it is that you found to be bad about something that you know you need to change. You got to do something. This is not something physically that God can do for you. Now, he can continue to put you in position. He can continue to bring angels around you that hopefully one of them you will listen to, whatever the case may be. But there's so many people in today's society that can't nobody tell them nothing. But then maybe in your life, at some point in time, you were sick and tired of being sick and tired. You said, I'm going to change. And you did. And then you saw God's power begin to heal you in those places where you are sabotaging and hurting yourself, and you've been blaming everybody else. Uh-oh. Let me say that again. That God came in and healed your soul from the damage you were doing to yourself. It's called self-destruction. But for some reason, we're taking accountability for the stuff that we do to ourselves. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. It's always somebody else's fault. Oh, no, I'm not going to take accountability for the role that I played in my own demise. It's their fault. God, it is hard to get healed when you keep blaming everybody else. What's going on? What's up with you, Tia? So I want to read this again. You tell me what you get from it. Now, Brother James said, man, from my experience from the University of Hard Knocks, there are only two kinds of knowledge in the world. The one you give yourself called self-education, and the one the system gives you called indoctrination, spiritual material. Now, I think there's another one. The knowledge that you get. Now, if you say the system, and then I would probably say, well, I think there's the indoctrination of the system, but I think there's also knowledge that you get from other people, right? Or wisdom that you get from other people, right? So I don't necessarily, I can, like, Ryan, whatever it is, in the comments below, I'd love for you to let me know what's your specialty, what's your expertise. Because I don't have to be an expert in, I think brother Healthy Bud is here. I don't have to be an expert in transportation to lean on his knowledge in transportation. I'm ignorant in transportation. I also don't have to go learn transportation. I can say, well, I got a brother in my organization. Transportation is his specialty. Let me go talk to him about transportation. I don't necessarily have to be an expert in money. Oh, this brother ERGJ, he is certified global financial educator. He's been helping us with about money for over 20 years. I'm bad with this money thing. I'm broke, busted, and disgusted. Let me go talk to ERGJ, see if he can help me fix this money problem. But that will require a little bit of humble pie to say I don't know everything, and I don't have to know everything. But if I know some people who know what I don't know, and I build this relationship, which is, I believe, what the church is for. Think about the disciples. They all did different stuff for the most part. You had fishermen, you had a lawyer, you had a tax collector, They were good in different areas. Jesus built a team. He went out, said, follow me, and he had these 12 ragamuffins, 12 bastards, 12 whatever, just 12 regular people, regular working people. And he was able, over time, identify their greatness, their strengths. He probably already knew it because he's God, I guess. I don't know how that works. He built the team. Let me ask you this. Have you built the team? And I'm talking about more, when I say, I know some of you guys may be married. That's your team for your family. You, your wife or husband, and your children, your household is a team. Okay, but outside of that, and maybe that's not even a team. Maybe that team is dysfunctional. Then you got maybe your church team, your spiritual team. Say, okay, right? I found a spiritual person who I believe is well versed and read the Bible and can explain everything the way that I can understand it. And I'm a baby in this thing. I'm ignorant in this thing. I'm not as, I'm just getting started on this walk, and I found someone who I believe I can follow. Everybody putting console follow. Who you following? Think about these different areas in your life. You know, I think Troy would share some pillars. Brother Orlando, what's those 6 pillars, right? We have what? Social, financial, spiritual, mental, emotional, and one other one, physical probably, right? So health, mental health. Who do you have on your team that helps you, that you can talk to, that you can be your 100% unapologetically yourself, where you don't have to walk on eggshells and you can express yourself? Where do you do that at? That's going to help you with your mental health and your emotional health. Because a lot of that stuff is just bottled up anxiety, anger, stress, worry, whatever, that you ain't got out yet. Stuff that you want to say, but you don't say it. This whole system has taught us to shut the fuck up when we should actually be talking more. But we don't necessarily have to talk out into the public. We don't have to talk into the masses who don't understand the inside stuff, our inside stuff. We talk to our inner circle. Who's a part of your inner circle? Do you have an inner circle? Or have you got so much distrust for people? And I can see why. Because they got COVID. They starting to debunk COVID now. You know, making us believe that we put a mask over our face, that we're not going to catch a virus that's almost invisible. Do you know how stupid that is? Do you know how dumb we got to be to believe that? But yet when you go painting, you got to put on this whole exhaust system when you go paint. But it got a deadly virus floating around in the world, and all I got to do is put on a little cloth mask that my little kid made. Do you know how dumb we got to be to believe the stuff that they tell us? Does that make any sense? But they got people to believe it. They got people to start socially distancing themselves from one another. They got people to stop coming together. They got people to say they're going to argue over Thanksgiving dinner because they chose a different political candidate. Think about what I'm saying. And the more you separate from people, and therefore I would also not just say people, these people will represent angels and demons. There's some angels in your life that you separated yourself from because they tell you the truth. And you don't want to hear the truth because the truth is going to cause you to have to change. And you ain't ready to change yet. So you exile the people who are trying to help you, like really help you. And you only accept the people who make you feel good. And that's your circle. A whole bunch of yes men, a whole bunch of yes women, a whole bunch of people that should be in the crowd, but you let them in to your inner circle. And the people that should be in your inner circle who really could help you, who've been trying to help you for years, you put them in the crowd and you let the crowd into your inner circle. Do you see why I'm saying read the book? Now, I didn't read that before I got on here. This is just coming. I'm just reading the book and it's sharing some dialogue with you guys. And we're having church without walls. It's not that difficult. But it becomes easier when you read the book. But then he says to the disciples, but blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. For truly I say to you, many prophets and righteous people long to see what you see, and did not see it, and to hear what you hear, did not hear. Many preachers, many bishops, many apostles, many have longed to hear what you hear, the Spirit of the Lord, but they couldn't hear it. Many of them wanted to see what you see right now, but they still part of the crowd, acting like they're in some space of leadership, and they can't hear it, they can't see it, they don't understand it, but they act like they do. And because you don't understand it, you follow them instead of following Jesus or following God or following the book. Isn't that interesting? And all I'm doing is I'm reading the book and I am and I'm deciphering what God may be saying to me. Now, he could be saying some different things to you. Why? Because you have different experiences. He may need to speak to you in different areas than he needs to speak to me. God knows what you need. I don't. I'm just doing what God told me to do right now. Was I a little hesitant to do this morning? Absolutely. But shit, God said do it. I said, shit, I ain't scared. This is Matthew chapter 13. We was reading from verse 1 through 17. Now, this is the parable of the sower. My plan, when I thought my plan was to actually go through the rest of the parable, but I think I'm going to hold off on going through the explanation of the parable for the next episode. Right? I think I'll do that because it's been an hour or so, and I don't want to take up too much of your time, and I probably need to be cognizant of people's attention span. But here's what I asked you guys this morning. Yeah, I don't know how long you've been watching. I don't know what you got from it. Give me a takeaway in the comments below. What's something that God has spoken to you, maybe through me, or maybe through your own reading from the passages, the scriptures that we've read today? Matthew chapter 13, verses 1 through 17. What's your takeaway from today? See, if we go to church or wherever we go, then I'm just talking about church because today's Sunday, but anywhere you go where there is some dialogue taking place, you should have some type of takeaway. I would recommend it because in this world, there's always an opportunity to learn. What did you learn today? Put that in the comments below. What did you, and you would, and that's your way of saying, that's your way of showing your appreciation for me even stepping out boldly to do this. Is to simply in the comments below, let me know, what did you learn today? What was your biggest take? Why is that important to me? Because I'm a teacher. The same way that the great teacher was a teacher, and I'm learning from the teacher how to teach better. He talked in stories to the masses. Stories. He got specific to his inner circle. He didn't sit up there and not have the direct the specific conversations with his constituents. He did. There was back and forth going on. It wasn't just you sit still while I instill. That was not how Jesus taught. That's how we teach today. That's not how he taught. What's on the comments? TSI said, "What book you read from?" I'll grab my Bible. Get your Bible. How many guys during the time you went and got your Bible? Or you pulled your Bible up on your phone and you start reading through the same scriptures I was reading just to check me. I want y'all to check me. Now, I'm not saying that my interpretation of what I read is the correct doctrine or the theological whatever, because I think that's some BS too. Because again, the book that I read tells me that the master teacher is on the inside of me, the Holy Spirit. So it is quite possible that the Holy Spirit that's within you is going to give you a different message from the same scripture than you gave me. Because you're in a different place in your life. He needs to speak to you in a specific way to get you to understand something about these scriptures that I didn't cover. That I didn't get. I just happen to have the microphone, quote unquote. But I'm asking you right now, what did you get from it? And then maybe from that I'll get a different vantage point. Like, oh, okay, I didn't catch that, but yeah, okay, that makes sense too. You see how that works? You see how that dialogue works? You see how that interaction works? You see how much more dynamic that is when there are people who can have the conversations about the scriptures versus you just told me what you think it says. I ain't read it. I don't know what it is. You skipped some parts, but guess what? Yeah, it is what it is. Oh, what's on our Rose? All right, let me see what you guys are saying here. Ronnie said, it's always infinite intelligence for me, the Most High. When I escape the mental and physical plane, I choose God for spiritual guidance and enlightenment. Most of us don't know of the higher higher mental faculties, wisdom, intuition, memory, imagination, will, perception, reason. It's been a good, thanks so much, bro. Thanks so much for tuning in. All right, let's see what you guys say. God bless the child. He has on gradings. The truth will be right there. Oh, I don't know how to work this thing. All right, let's see what you guys are saying. Wisdom is a principal thing, therefore get wisdom. And all that get on. Yeah, that's one of my favorite. I think that's that Proverbs chapter 4, verse 7. You did your thing today, man. Appreciate you, Ronnie. Nicole, man, right, because we are all on separate assignments, right? Okay, then I gotta be more in this, that was given. Yeah, I appreciate you. All right, cool. All right, guys, so, yeah, Church Without Walls, and I guess I'll do this next Sunday. I guess that's what I'll do. I don't know how that works. Whatever. I'm definitely going to, when should I do this again? Cause we gotta do part 2. All right, when should we do part 2, guys? I want to wait a week to fit? Is that what? Wednesday. Okay, yeah. That's Bible study night. Yeah, Wednesday. So on Wednesday night, 8 o'clock. Sounds good. Wednesday, 8 o'clock at night. I'll do part 2. That way we can finish the parable of the sower. So that'll give you time if you haven't, if you haven't read it, it'll give you time to go to Matthew chapter 13, read through it, whatever. And then that way, when we come back on Wednesday, you can share some more intuition, some more insight that you've gotten, and we can finish and go through the specifics of the understanding of the parable, because that's what we'll get next. And so I think Wednesday night will be good. That'll be good. We'll do that on Wednesday. All right, Nicole said, I came in on the last portion having a message converted that the truth will set us apart and bring us together. Nonetheless, check your circle for comfortability. Absolutely, man. Hey, guys, I want to say I appreciate you guys tapping in. Everybody hit the like button. Everybody left a comment. Everybody hit the share button. Just, you know what I'm saying? I think it's a travesty for us to share evil faster than we'll share truth. Yeah, it's the things that go viral for the most part, the things that we share, the things that capture our attention, the things that are bad. We'll share the fights. We'll share the violence. We'll share the scandals. We'll share that stuff. Ooh, that's juicy. We'll share all the juicy stuff. Then when it's stuff that'll actually help us, heal, that'll give us information that can change our life, we don't share it. And then we wonder why our world and our bigger world is the way it is. And I want to tell you this. I want you to really understand this. Our world, our bigger world, is the way that it is because our world, our personal world, is the way that it is. We don't get right with God, then how on earth are we going to change the world that we live in to make it a better place? How? If you don't fix your family, whatever that is, and it may be to a point where fixing it just means you got to start over. I don't know. But if you don't fix if you don't repair your marriage, if you're married, if you don't fix whatever went wrong between you and your kids, if you don't work on that stuff, if you don't fix your health, your whatever going on with your food that you eat, and if you don't fix your financials, you don't fix your physical, you don't fix your mental, you don't fix your emotional, you don't fix your spiritual. If you don't fix you with the help of God, how are you going to fix anything else? Doesn't make much sense, does it? What's going on with you, brother Alex? I was thinking about you, bro. I appreciate you, man. I'm gonna get this uploaded on my YouTube channel, man. Church Without Walls. This your brother E. I'm bringing it back. I'm just bringing it back. I'm just going. You know what I decided to do? I decided to be 100% unapologetic, doing what God tells me to do, saying some of the stuff that God tells me to say. Now I know I'm still working on a couple of vocabulary words, but I'm gonna bring it. And I pray to God that you would bring it too. Okay? I pray that you would bring it too, man. Hey, you guys have a wonderful day. I wanted to say thanks so much for tuning in. I want you guys to remember this, that it takes a village. It starts with us. Let's keep building as we climb together. We all we got, beautiful people. We all we got. Thank God. That's more than enough. And I pray to God that he allows us to meet again real soon.